Some led with unmatched brilliance. Others ruled through sheer fear. But all five carved their names into history, not just with armies, but with strategy, vision, and unstoppable force. These are the top 5 greatest military generals in history. Men who didn't just fight wars, they changed the rules of warfare itself. We begin with number 5, a king who conquered the world before he turned 30 and never lost a single battle. At number 5, a conqueror who never lost a single battle. He was crowned a king at 20, and in just a decade, carved an empire from Greece to India. This is Alexander the Great. He swept through Persia like a storm, stood as a god in Egypt, and reached the edges of India, undefeated. Not once. His Macedonian phalanx pierced through enemy lines like clockwork. His cavalry moved like thunder. His armies followed him not just out of duty, but devotion. He named cities after himself. He blended cultures. He rewrote the map. And though he died young, his dream of a united East and West echoed through centuries in science, art, and empire. Quote, "There is nothing impossible to him who will try." At number 4, Hannibal Barca, the man who made Rome tremble. Born in Carthage, Hannibal was raised on vengeance. As a child, he swore an oath to his father to become Rome's eternal enemy. And he did. With bold strategy and brutal precision, Hannibal crossed the Alps with a war machine no one expected, war elephants. In 216 BCE, at the Battle of Cannae, he delivered one of the most devastating defeats in Roman history. His outnumbered forces encircled and annihilated a Roman army nearly twice their size, a tactic still studied in military academies today. For over a decade, Hannibal ravaged Roman lands, always outmaneuvering, always outthinking. He wasn't just a general. He was a ghost story Roman children feared at night. I will either find a way or make one. Hannibal. At number 3, Napoleon Bonaparte, the master tactician who reshaped Europe with fire and logic. Born in Corsica, dismissed as a nobody by the French elite, Napoleon rose from obscurity to crown himself emperor. But his true power wasn't his title. It was his mind. On the battlefield, Napoleon was a mathematician of war, calculating angles, timing, terrain, and morale with surgical precision. At Austerlitz in 1805, he faced a combined Russian and Austrian force nearly twice the size of his own. But by baiting them into a false sense of advantage, he crushed them in a single day, a masterpiece still taught in military academies as the Battle of the Three Emperors. His innovations transformed warfare. Fast-moving corps that operated independently but struck together. Strategic use of terrain and deception. Morale as a weapon. Napoleon wasn't just a conqueror. He was a revolution in uniform. Imagination rules the world. Napoleon Bonaparte. At number 2, Genghis Khan, the storm from the steppe, who conquered the known world. Born as Temujin, a fatherless boy cast out by rival clans, he began with nothing. No army, no allies, no empire. But what he had was vision and vengeance. He united the Mongol tribes through sheer will and strategy, forging the most disciplined cavalry the world had ever seen. Then he unleashed them. From China to Eastern Europe, his armies struck like lightning. Horse archers that fired with deadly accuracy while galloping full speed. Decoy retreats that lured enemies into traps. A vast spy network that shattered defenses before the first arrow flew. Genghis Khan didn't just win battles, he changed how wars were fought. His Mongol Empire became the largest land empire in history, built not just on terror, but on discipline, mobility, and ruthless innovation. The greatest happiness is to vanquish your enemies, Genghis Khan. And at number 1, Julius Caesar, the man who dismantled a republic and forged the bones of an empire. He wasn't just a general. He was a master of politics, perception, and power. As governor of Gaul, Caesar led brutal campaigns across modern-day France and Belgium, defeating countless tribes and expanding Rome's reach beyond anything imagined. His tactics were brilliant. Fast-moving legions that built bridges in days. Siege warfare that broke cities like Alesia. Loyalty so fierce, soldiers marched across frozen rivers for him. But the battlefield was only half his weapon. He used propaganda like a sword, sending reports to Rome that turned victories into legend and setbacks into strategy. And when the Senate feared his power, he crossed the Rubicon. Civil war followed. By the end, Caesar stood as dictator for life, a man too powerful to be controlled, too ambitious to stop. The senators thought his assassination would save the Republic. Instead, it gave birth to the Roman Empire. Veni, vidi, vici. I came, I saw, I conquered. Empires may fall, But strategy lives on. From Alexander's boldness to Caesar's cunning, these men still influence warfare, leadership, and politics today. Which one do you believe changed history the most? Comment below and subscribe for more. Because history isn't dead. It's just waiting to be remembered. Only on Forgotten Realms.